What is up, Jenna?
What's up, babe?
Welcome back, everybody, to the Cool Times podcast. We've missed you.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. We've had a lot of work behind the scenes gearing up for 2024. Yes, we want to end the year with a banger. First off, I appreciate everybody listening to the show, supporters, people that come up to us at conferences and trade shows, and they're like, "Hey, we love that episode," or "Hey, I've learned a lot about that," and that's really why we do this. I mean,
it's
right?
true. Yeah, no, the feedback, you guys, has just been like, we are so grateful. We're so humbled by all of your kind words. What started as a funny little thing and still remains that for us. We're glad that people have found it useful.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways. So,
and all the new people in the industry that are trying to learn about it and learn who's who and who's what and histories and people's stories and stuff that you can relate to. And it's been a lot of fun. 2023 has been a hell of a year.
It sure has. There's been a lot that's happened. And I like to do, I don't know how you feel about this, but I like to do like my reflection. Like a lot of people use like the new year to do the reflection. I like to do my reflection at the end of the year, because I think that something our business coach and, our success coach has taught us is that helps you prepare for what's coming next.
Sure.
So today is going to be a little bit about takeaways from 2023 and how we are going to be successful in 2024, how we can approach it with that kind of mindset.
Yeah. I wrote down my top 5 takeaways for 2023 so we can reflect and talk about that. Jenna wrote her top 5 down. And when we are done, you guys stay tuned. You want to stay tuned and listen. We have brought on a very special guest who is a professional in the psychology world, mindset,
performance
sports coaching, performance coaching, just a mindset master. You guys, we brought on a guest that we are going to bring on shortly, and he is amazing. Do not turn off this podcast. I am warning you. This is
don't want to miss it.
Insane. We are bringing our
success
coach on, and we are going to share with all of our guests what helps us be successsul. I don't care how good you are, no matter what you do. I mean, people need a coach, right?
You can always be learning.
Totally.
Like when you stop growing, you stop doing pretty much everything else.
Totally agree. But no, this year's been a blessing. Jen and I, not only is Cool Times been a blessing and it's fun, and we're ready to have just a kick butt 2024. The lineup is awesome. Bringing on some new sponsorship opportunities to people and opening that back up, and all of our 2023 sponsors, Rytech High Performance Stores.
Thank you.
Vapor Armor.
Thank you.
Versafoam.
Thank you.
And Jamison Door Company.
Thank you, Jamison.
Thank
you guys
all
so
four
much.
of you guys, man. You guys are great partners in the industry. And obviously those sponsorships help us do this. It helps us pay for the editing. It supports everything that we're doing here. By all means, we're not making money and getting rich off this. So you guys know that's not what we're doing. This is for you guys.
For production.
And those sponsorships, those are the supporters that are making this happen. They are extending their hand. They're as much involved with Cool Times podcast as just we are, because they're extending their hand and making it possible for us to do this.
Yeah.
And it's been a blast, and we're going to continue to contribute our time and efforts into 2024 and change things up a little bit, do new things. And let me tell you, like, that's why we're ending the show. That's why we're ending 2023, going into 2024 with a success coach, mindset coach that is going to blow your minds on how to crush and think different in 2024. All right, guys, this is the exciting part of the podcast. We have our good friend, Joe Jardine in the house. Joe, what's going on, brother?
What's up, Joe?
Dude, thank you for having me. I feel like we were like not more than friends. We're like family.
We are like family. We are
each other forever.
Man,
you were the first people that we met when we were living in California.
You were the first family I met in California.
I saw you guys outside, and I told my wife, "Look at that nice young couple. They look so broken and fractured. We must heal them. And
you did.
No, they weren't broken.
Yes.
No, not at all. It's the complete opposite. Jenna was just upset because Vince was so funny and good looking. And so we get it now.
Yes. That's what I was upset about.
I'm going to park it over here now.
It's outside and we're like, and people probably notice, like you see people and they have a certain energy and you just have a connection and a magnet. And those are you guys from day one.
Same with you guys.
It's just fun because it's fun to just kind of see us as like little baby couples.
You had Sawyer, and Sawyer was your first, and Sawyer's like this big when I met you.
And
this big.
He loves sitting with you on, this is fun. It's like apartment living. We're all sitting in apartments, right?
And we were.
You guys were
in Orange County, California.
Yeah. Rest in peace. And so I love it, like how it's just you sitting on the step with him, drinking your protein shake.
It probably was.
Giving him a sip of it. It's just like, what's going on here? So he loved it. He was obsessed with you. He loves Uncle Vince. He loves it. Then he gave me his first hockey stick, which he still has.
Yeah.
That's around.
I feel like you played with that hockey stick for a while more than he did.
Oh, your one of your first or second houses.
The
first house in Lake Forest in your backyard. We had the nets out and everything.
Yeah, it was you two. I have a video of you two, and Sawyer's on his bike.
Yeah. Well, now I'm on my bike and Sawyer's on the hockey, so everything's changed.
It all worked out though it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, this is a different podcast, okay? Because you are not a cold storage construction expert.
Not.
But
I am an owner of 3 refrigerators.
Oh,
but
3 now.
But you are a professional in a field that is just invaluable to our entire industry about psychology and sports and performance and mindset and how to, in this podcast theme is how to crush 2024. Joe, this is why it's so awesome that you're here. You do not build, you don't build cold storage. You're not in the cold storage industry. I don't even know if you know what the insulated metal panel is, but what the people don't know about you is that you are you own many practices, psychologist, sports performance coach for professional athletes, NFL level, mindset coach. And the whole theme of this podcast is how to crush 2024, to balance it all and just kick ass. So with that being said, Joe, what do we do?
Hold on. Let me just start here because I think this is key. This is key is I feel like the theme this past year I'm being honest about a lot of my clients. It could be my professional athletes to my entrepreneurs to just even families in general that I'm working with. 2023 was a very, I would say, like a suppressed year for a lot of people, emotionally, mentally. A lot of people wanting to get these major breakthroughs that just didn't happen. And then Q4 came around for a lot of people, and they're seeing some signs. And I'm just telling you, just working with a lot of people and just hearing a lot of entrepreneurs I work with, 2024, I think, is going to be a massive breakthrough year for a lot of individuals as people, athletes, but business men and women. I see that. I feel it. I recognize people are revving up all this past year to then come in with just this heaviness of overachieving. And I think it's going to be an exciting year for everyone in all businesses. And so I think this is a great time to talk about how to position yourself for that.
Yeah.
And how to make sure that you're ready for it.
Yep.
And so much we know, right? Us 3, we know that, especially in business, like, luck is something you have to quote manufacture. This is something that doesn't happen to you.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
The aspect of it is there's things that we can do for ownership and responsibility to set up to be a good stewardship of opportunities that come in 2024. And that's all we can do, right? Is make sure an opportunity comes, we're ready for it. It's just like dating, right? The right girl comes, you better be right as a man or she's going to leave you. And so we just got to make sure we become the person that we want our year to be. You want a year to be great? Let's be great. Yep. You want a year to be about, for us, for example, you guys know this from following what we're doing. 2024 for us is a massive year about time management. Time management is life management. That is my mantra for all this year. Like if we want better management in my business, at home, with my wife, my kids, it's going to start at time. And crappy time is crappy life management. And we know if we're not growing personally, our businesses aren't growing. And so we have to have this personal growth, to have business growth, to have mental, emotional growth. And so, yes, I don't know what I'm talking about right now. I'm just saying,
no,
next year, we're gonna kill it.
you
Everyone's gonna
highlighted
kill it.
everything you need to highlight, and I guess so for all of our listeners out there, tell us a little bit about who Joe Jardine is, your experiences, your background. Tell us who you are.
Absolutely. So here's my background. I have a background in clinical psychology. I have a license as a marriage family therapist. I've been a college professor in psychology the last 10 years, doing a lot of performance and sports psychology at the university level. My wife and I started a company called the Reset Group, where the whole point about that is start out helping Division I athletes and NFL players and coaches to get a mental edge on the field in competition, basically driven by performance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with the big cliche that we use, which is really true, that mental toughness comes from emotional wellness. If you're not emotionally well, you cannot be mentally tough. So if you have worries, anxiety, fear-based thinking or approach on anything, you cannot be mentally tough in those situations. And so from there, Reset Group evolved into obviously other things, and it grew with that. And so we work with a lot of individuals, entrepreneurs, businessmen and women, families, things like that. And so that's our background. I have a clinical practice as well, but people like to hear more about what we do with our coaching at practice, which is about getting people an edge in life. And a lot of it is based on, honestly, it's based on sports and performance psychology research. We don't make it up. So I say that from day one. This is not me making up stuff. This is what we know. And this is what we know that's out there. This is just what research is showing. And let's just package it in a way that makes sense for people and simple, that people can actually do it.
Yeah.
So we're talking about kind of emotional wellness equals mental toughness, right? Or is that what you said? I think it's what he said.
Mental toughness comes from emotional
From
wellness.
emotional wellness, right? So if you are talking to some of your business, associate, your entrepreneurs, your clients, things like that right now, what would maybe be 3 things that you would want them to take into this 2024, approach that's going to hit that emotional piece for them?
Yeah, well, I think everything comes from a place of core values, and so many men and women never develop or redevelop their core values. I think the aspect of that is knowing who you are, what you want, and where you want to go. And why that's so important is because the fact is everyone needs to work from a belief system. And so many times we get critics, or if it's a bad review, or if you didn't get a job that you want, or something like that, if your belief system's never been developed or created, who you are, what you want to do, how you want to exist, has never been created, then you're become very fragile emotionally. So then everything is based on results and achievement per se, and which is not really healthy, because your worth and value is only based on end results. And we know in the performance industry that is not what we want, because what's going to happen is that you're going to over try. And we really want you to do is to, instead of over try, we want you to try less and trust more of your abilities, trust more of your insight, more of your experience, and things like that. And so the first thing we do with anyone and everyone we work with is, what are your core values? Where's your belief systems? What are certain lies, right? Some thoughts around who you are and your roles that you have that is keeping you from, being limited, like, or having a breakthrough that you want. For a lot of us, we got to recognize that, words don't have to be true for them to hurt us. We just have to believe it. And so what that means is that a lot of us might be believing certain things about our business, certain things about maybe around our income or around our marriage or relationships, right? That are really content distortions, right? Lies that our mind tells us. And they're starting to define really our behaviors. And that's not good, because our behaviors tells ourselves what to believe about ourselves. So if you want to start changing our belief system and who we are, let's define it, and then let's create behaviors around it. And so that comes to the second thing I would say, which is wisdom plus activity equals identity in life. So let's just take that in terms of your, I don't know, let's say a business. Like, what business do you want? Freeze construction identity in 2024, right? So then it's like, let's work it backwards. What wisdom, information, capital T, truth, do you need to recognize, know, have knowledge on, gain? Maybe people get this from your podcast, right? They get little nuggets, right? So let's gain that. That plus activity equals that identity. I mean, the follow through, the behavior part of it. Because the thing is as men and women, we vote with our feet and not with our words. And a lot of people are talk in this world. And a lot of people have a big bark, right? But they can't follow through. And so when you have the aspect, your core values are really define, and they're written down. It's kind of like the 10 commandments of who you are as a person in your business.
Yeah.
Then you have this equation that you're going to play out, which is what identity do you want to be? And so, for example, for a lot of people I work with, confidence is a big part of it, you know, and so a confident year. So their identity is like, I want to be a confident Joe. So then what does, what's the wisdom? What does a confident Joe need to know? How do I manufacture confidence? How do I become confident? And then what is actually the process, which is the activity part of it. So we work out that equation, then it's going to get the results you want. Right. And I think lastly, there's going to be a third thing regarding what we're talking about, is the concept of recognizing that if you don't have a plan and practice self-talk system or exercises that you're not doing every day, it is tremendously hard to manufacture success. It is tremendously hard to position yourself every single day. And this is something that a lot of men have a hard time with, especially a lot of, like, let's say macho type men, is they don't recognize is that your mindset matters. And thinking takes behavior. Thinking dictates how you feel. If you can't win the battle between your ears, if your competition has that sense of that system built up, or that practice self-talk aspect to them, right, that they practice and that they engage with, right, then they will beat you. They will win you. And so the concept of that is, if we get a little nerdy here, is everyone really wants to change two things next year. They want to change the neural mapping in their mind, and they want to create neurogenesis. And the aspect of neural mapping is that we all think in maps. So, like, if I walked in and saw events, the map of all my memories of events come up, right? So then, that's there. If I saw an ex-girlfriend, all that map would come up. It'd be a different map, neural mapping than him.
And not as good looking.
Right. Exactly. 100%. And so with that is all of us has something that needs to change between our ears for us to elevate. Right. And so for us to do that, the way that you either strengthen the better neural mapping or change it is the aspect of self-talk. Right. And so there's certain things that we could think in certain ways that actually does that. We know this. Now, the second part is neurogenesis, which is the concept of developing and creating a new relationship to a situation, a person, an environment, a colleague, a coworker, a relationship towards success, towards failure, right? And so if you want this like aha moment, and another way to put this is, like, I always tell people, like, there's a certain time my wife and I weren't doing so well, and something that we needed created was a new perspective of each other, right? And the first thing we had to do is start thinking about each other in new and different ways to then develop this sense of love and connection we're looking for, right? And so that's called neurogenesis. And there's really only two ways to do that. One way is you write it down, you write it out, or you act it out. The second way is that you talk it out. You talk it out, or you act it out. And so if I don't have someone talking this through, right, that's why a lot of people hire coaches, is to develop neurogenesis, or I don't have a structured journaling program, a performance journaling program to create that, then to do it by myself doesn't work. And we got to recognize we can't think our way into 2024, right? Even though I'm talking about self-talk, you have to work your way into it. You can't think your way out of a failure. You have to work your way out of it, right? And so there's actually practical things that we can do to make that happen. And we know it works. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, it isn't sexy. It's not glamorous. It's not jumping into the sauna with the red light.
It's not fun. It's hard work.
No, it's hard work. And so, but the people who do it get results.
I understand why it's hard, right? Like, to look inside and look at some of those limiting beliefs and, like, actually bring them. I mean, they're running through your head, but, like, to bring them out on a piece of paper and, like, read the things that you have running through your head that you say about yourself. Like, no one wants to see that, right? Those are all the thoughts that we just push down. We push down. We try to, like, get rid of, like, you're no good. Like, just as an example, they get even meaner than that. But I understand why people don't want to look at it. But that's what I think people are missing, is they don't get that even if you just push it to the side, it's still there. If you don't work through it, you're never going to get to the other side of that.
Right. I think from day one is, I'm just going to use athletes as an example. I started sports at age 5. Vince probably started at age 5 months because he's so athletic, is the concept of we learn wrongly as athletes and as young men, and probably young women too, is that we were taught to completely just channel victories and completely just double down our strengths and be obsessive about our wins. That is so limiting because majority of life is losses.
Yeah.
And if you don't
It
build
is.
up,
Wow.
if you don't build up the muscles of disappointment at a young age and recognize that the beauty as adults is that we have the ability to channel our weaknesses and actually elevate ourselves greater and better. But a lot of us never want to do that because we really don't believe, which we should believe this, that as men and women, we are as strong as we admit to our weaknesses. So instead, as we just live this life and masking it, a lot of us become like narcissists, or we become just certain character flaws, and not just in relationships with business, but also our personal relationships, right?
Yeah.
But it's a lot because I think we grew up, we know this in like sports psychology. We grew up in this culture where we really did not teach our kids or teach ourselves how to like come back from, like, let's say a failure, come back from a big loss. It's kind of like, my daughter, she's a champion. She's like dad. And for the 9 and under soccer, she won the 9 and under soccer championship.
Sure.
Look at her.
Yeah.
And just beat this awful, great team, but awful parents, right? We can't stand them. But here's the thing is, my wife and I, like, she's like, oh, I can't hope they win this game. I hope they win this game. And I said, honey, I'm going to tell you the truth. If I want what's best for my daughter, I hope she gets killed. I hope they get destroyed. I hope that she has, because we know Angela Duckworth has this research, and that my daughter needs to have failures before age 10 that are massive for her to create major grit and resilience in life.
Whoa.
And I actually hope that she loses, so then we could teach her how to practice harder, longer, and make a great comeback, right?
Wow.
And there's a great quote by this researcher. She says this, that progress doesn't always look like growth.
Ooh.
And I think we're always looking at progress and results. This is what I'm looking for. I want my daughter to lose so that she could progress will not always look like growth. So she understands I could progress in times of failure and hard times, right? But here's the other great quote the person has, which I love, which is learning or progress requires unlearning.
Oh, yeah.
For us to progress, you probably heard these four sayings, Jenna. It's like, for us to progress in 2024, we had to ask ourselves this question. All your listeners seriously need to ask the question is, what do I need to unlearn from 2023, 2022, or my personality, or my whatever it may be, for me to progress next year? Do I need to learn a certain reaction towards people, a certain reaction towards, situations? Do I need to learn to step up? Like, what needs to be unlearned, right? And you kind of think about, like, it's like trees, right? Like we have to graft like plants. Like, okay, this is like
Sure.
Napa.
Sure.
You guys love your wine, Napa Valley, right? So a young grape tree or a grape plant, right, it starts growing right away. They do is they cut it off at the to the soil. And so they call it grafting. Immediately they do that. So that's why trees, when the fires came, like those vines, right? Those old vines are worth so much money. So they do that right away, because what happens is when you graft it, remove that, right? Then the roots actually shoot down and go so much deeper and wider. So that would be actually a healthier grape for many, many years, right? And if you never graft it, it would just actually not last longer than 5 to 7 years. It would just die, right? So the concept of that is that metaphor,
Strong roots.
right? So the aspect of it is what needs to be unlearned, graft in my life, so my roots will grow deeper, so that I could shoulder more blessings, more responsibilities, more wins. Because a weak man that gets victory has no idea what to do with it. So long story short, she won. They got the trophy.
Oh,
In my backyard with the soccer net. Hey, babe, let's go kick soccer ball around. It's off season. Dad, I'm a champion. I don't need to. And that was my greatest fear.
Oh, man.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Man, a couple things came to my mind because, I'm the youngest of 3. I have 2 older brothers, and growing up playing hockey with them, I was 8 years old, and I would play with them outside in the driveway, and I would get destroyed for years. I would lose every day. And I don't know, if that had anything to do with anything that happened later on in my life, but I learned to lose a lot when I was 8, 9, and 10.
Yes.
Dude, a lot.
Vince, in the NHL, where's the 2 variables of people who make it in the NHL? Ready for it? First one, they're the youngest. Get their ass. They get the butt kicked. I'm sorry. Get their butt kicked.
This is not a PG-13 podcast.
Well,
it might be for you.
You can use those words on this podcast. It's a not, not safe for work.
Two things is
they
that
get their butt kicked.
They get their butt kicked, right? Because I'm the youngest.
They're the youngest.
Well, right? Like that means I never got the new car. I got the worst car because it was always beat up by my sisters, right? That I always got secondary things, right? Or overlooked or, picked on, right? Creates resilience, right? Grit. Second thing is that they're born in March. My friend, you were made for the NHL.
All three of us are March babies.
Are.
Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, you underachieved as a hockey player.
I'll take this life over in the NHL life. I would have never met her.
Aww.
That's true.
It's so true.
But you're right. There's something there 100% and you're dead on.
But I look at our industry as a whole and you gotta, picture walking into a trade show conference. There's 400 bodies in there. You have a lot of business owners, a lot of, very successful vice presidents and project managers. Then you got the sales and the suppliers and vendors, and they're high income earner. They are selling a great product and they've done so well. These are all great human beings, a lot of A-type personalities in that room and hammers and leaders and right. But we don't always get to win. Right.
That's right.
So, we don't win, but everybody in our industry in cold storage construction, it's about winning. They want to win the bid. They want to win the project. They want to win, but they don't always win.
Right. Right. Well, and the aspect of that is that, if you're chasing results, you're never going to get them. We can't be stat oriented. We can't be result oriented. And I know every businessman say, no, it's all about the bottom dollar. Yeah. But that's old school thinking from the 80s.
Right.
So we move up to how today is. And every successful businessman realized that every business has a great system and a great process. And so how you go after bids, if the system is correct, it's healthy. I don't know the industry, but just go with me real quick. And we don't get the bid, we don't change the system per se, because we can't always, if the system is a winning system, then we will get results. But it's more of like a numbers game in terms of, okay, not this one, you get this one. Okay, they're gonna move to the next one. Right. And so the concept of it is don't focus on the results, focus on a system that's going to help you get more wins than not. You can't get a home run every at bat. Right. But people live and die on that. And so what happens is there's a hangover, a carryover, right, into then the next bid. And then we start getting stressed or start squeezing, or maybe we could lower the price we shouldn't, or maybe we're going to lose money, and so they start losing their core values, their mindset around who they are as a business. And sometimes we got to recognize is that, I found this in my own practice and in both my practices is sometimes life problems are just protections. And, losing clients, there's a protection part of that I don't probably see, don't realize. And that's my viewpoint. That's my mindset around losses, around, any type of failure around my business, is that's just a protection I'm not seeing.
Wow.
And I'm just going to be thankful for it. And it's going to be forward and move on.
Yeah. Well, let's go past the bid and the win. Let's say they get the job. Let's say they're performing the project. They're doing the job. Ultimately the final goal is, you complete a great project that's on time, under budget, safe, and you made money, because as a business, you need to make money. Let's just say you don't make money on a job. You lost. That's considered a loss, right? So how do you learn? What do you learn from that? Are people in industry learning from their losses and mistakes?
Yeah. So let me do this for you. Is for your listeners, I'm going to send to you, buddy. I have a learn, adjust, launch worksheet that I have for my athletes, for my businessmen and women, that they can actually go through the worksheet and answer the prompts individually.
Okay.
And because the key is you learn, you adjust, and then you get to launch. Right. And so if you think in terms of the learn is going to be what? The learn is like the wisdom aspect of that equation. Right.
Yeah.
And the adjustment is going to be the aspect of the activity we talked about with that equation. And then the equals sign, which is the identity, right? That's going to be your launch. Right. And so that is something people gotta recognize is failures or losing money on a job is just a great opportunity for a lesson. Right. It's a whole concept everyone's heard. We don't lose, we learn in life. And so I will email that to you. And so you can probably put it up somewhere and make it available for the podcast, but or on your website.
Will.
And so I think the concept there is what you said, which you get to this mindset of I quickly have to recover. And in sports psychology, the recovery is no more than 5 seconds. If it's more than 5 seconds, then the loss or the drop ball in football is in your head. So it's oddly enough, if you play baseball like I did, is they know that it takes about 5 seconds after a strikeout to get into the dugout. So you have that 5 seconds you have to win. And so you also know about like morning routines is when you wake up, if you don't get up in 5 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're still in bed, odds are you're going to stay in bed. And so I say it all the time. The odds that you can't recover from this, whatever mistake business wise in 5 seconds, you just made your bed and you're still in it. That's how quickly I want you or whoever I'm working with to recover. And we recover quickly by saying, okay, let's jump into it. What do we learn?
Yep.
What's adjustments we're going to make? And what's the launch look like? And that's how fast we are. We're not going to just sit in it. We're not going to wallow in it. Why? Because thinking dictates my behavior. So I'm thinking in negative, sad ways, or I'm just crapping myself. Then that's going to affect my behavior for the next one.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to camp there. Right. And so, and slowly, if you keep doing that, obsessing about it, it seeps into your personalities, then seeps into your business. And then we have a bigger issue. System's going to break down.
Then I think people become part of that statistic where it's like 80% of their thinking is like negative, right? So if you think about it that way, like if you allow that, if you don't do that recovery, right? If you don't look for the lesson, if you're not active in the recovery, 80% of your thinking, I read that statistic a long time ago, becomes negative.
Yeah. So it happens. Yeah, good.
No, I was just gonna say, like, think about that, 80%. So you have to fight for that positive 20%.
Yeah. Well, let's think about teams. I'm not sure there's teams in you guys' business, but Georgetown and Harvard came together. I'm just going to be really off on this. Let's say the 70s. And they came out with like the power of positivity research, right? And just the aspect of like, if you think positive and think posy, as the kids call it these days, right? Then you're going to manufacture this positive world. And like, this is going to be powerful, and that kind of stuff. There's just no doubt. We're not going to deny that in any way. Like that is for sure is a better approach towards life. During COVID, they came out with another research, which is let's look at the power of negativity. And they found out that negativity, and I believe it correctly is, and I could look at my notes if I had it in front of me, is that is 8 to 12 times more powerful than positivity.
Yeah.
Meaning they found out specifically in sports or teams and business, if you have one negative Nancy, one just saboteur, or that one, like think about that one employee, you're just like, this person is like, it's ruining us, right? It takes 8 to 12 positive, hardworking other employees to then offset that one to create a balance. I mean, to not win, just to get us back to where we need to be at. Guys, just level out. Wow. So,
right.
Well, so you think about sports and baseball, you have 21 guys on a team. If you have 2 guys, they're like that, locker room's lost. If you have a marriage where one spouse is a negative Nancy, you're lost. It's negativity.
Unless you have 12 kids.
Right. And
that are all positive.
Yeah. Right. And so, but you think about it's like, if you have that one person, the power of negativity is so strong. But here's the wild part is, it's not in terms of how we think about it. It's like, well, I don't know, like, I don't really see the issues with that. I don't see that really playing out in my business. Those people work in the shadows. It's their little lunch breaks, their little text messages, their little phone calls when boss is not around, owner's not around. That is when that stuff seeps in, right? It's the aspect of their approach, their attitude. Do they step in? Like we talk about a lot of our clients, like whatever your field is, or your hockey, rink is, if it's business, they want to take one step into the office. Do I agree with a smile? We know that just transforms businesses immediately, that one thing.
Yeah.
Right. So on a job site, right? And it's like you greet work with smile. You greet your sport with a smile. Sounds odd, but true. It works. But that one person, the power of negativity, guys, is so strong. It's tremendous. And then they looked at like, okay, how does that affect actually the physical body, right? Like the person, but then the other people take on that negativity and it affects their body. And I hate using these words. I know a lot of people have, are close to this, but it's like, it's cancer. It kills business, kills teams. And you guys cannot outdo team. The amount of my people in business, like, well, we do these team outings. That cannot offset this one person.
Yeah.
Open a really good bottle of tequila this year to make them happy. That's not does not offset the cancer of this person.
Mm.
Hard part is when they're like, that person's my son, he works for our business, or it's my brother and he's a co-owner. What do I do then? It's like,
Yeah. How, as a business owner, as you have businesses, but also clients, like, how do you reach that person? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
they
Is
have to
there
do
is
their
there
work. They have to
is
do
there
their
changing
work,
him?
of
Is there
course.
changing him? Can you change that
I
guy?
don't know.
well,
Or
no,
how do you change that guy?
changing is a choice of
Mm.
that person. It's just like healing's a choice. But to have a healthy, honest conversation that's transparent and like sharing the information like we're talking about right now, and let them understand is that here's what's going on, here's the issue, here's the problem. And ultimately, you're going to take it not just yourself down, but everyone else down.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are just, guys, there's so much dysfunction in people because a lot of people grew up in dysfunctional families
Mhm.
more
Sure.
than ever. And so the byproduct of that is business, we know this, is just a parallel process to how people run their families. And so you show me crappy families, broken marriages, broken that, dude, there's the fracturedness in this business. Right. And you're like, no, it doesn't. I'm divorced and this and that. My business is great. I own it. Yeah, I think if your employees would be honest and transparent, they'll say there's a brokenness, there's a fracturedness, there's a fear there, there's something there. Right. And so having that honest conversation with that person is important. Can people change? Yes. Do we have tools for it? 100%. Is it a discipline on their end? Yes. A choice on their end? Yes. And you can't force them. There's no ultimatums. Like people who are addicts, you can't force an addict to get sober. It's their choice.
Right.
So true.
Mhm. It's so true. So I guess one of the questions I have, like, if you have that, and again, changes their choice. It's their work. But like, let's look at some of the people who are a little bit more positive, who maybe have that, stronger mindset. Like, how do they, because let's face it, not every day is a good day, right? Not every day is a good day. How do you balance like emotions in a workplace? Like, I know a lot of people can feel like if they've got the bid out there and they don't get it, it's like a personal attack on them. Like, how do you balance? Do you have any tips for like balancing your emotions when you're facing something like that? Like,
Mhm.
I know like you get upset sometimes when you don't get the bid, like, or he doesn't get the proposal, it doesn't win it.
Mhm.
Like, and that can kind of seep, like you say, in like what in that like recovery can we do emotionally to like check our emotions and make sure that, okay, yes, there's disappointment. Yes, there's, whatever sadness for missing that. Like, how do we move past that emotionally so that we can stay mentally strong?
Yeah. First of all, there's a great cliche that says, don't take failures to heart and don't take success to your head. I mean, like,
Ooh.
don't get a big ego for your successes and don't allow failures to just break your heart.
Mm.
Right. Easier said than done. But here's the thing, guys. Let's just be honest and transparent. I'm a business owner as well. Is if a failure, fill in the blank what that is for whoever's listening. If that doesn't break your soul, if that doesn't make you weep, if that doesn't make you sad or upset, angry, then you're not doing entrepreneurship correctly. And just like if my daughter lost a championship game and didn't cry, I'd be like, you didn't do it all, honey. You didn't leave it all out there. So the spectrum of emotions is very important for the entrepreneur to feel alive and feel real. And so I want you to feel that pain, that wound. I want you to do that. The pain in that wound is that feeling is going to last longer than that 5 seconds we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't want to avoid that emotion because I think that emotion is very telling and can be channeled. With emotions, you either channel it or you change it. The majority of times we're going to channel it because it doesn't just go away.
Mhm.
And so after that 5 seconds of like, this sucks, this is, can't believe this happened, get your victim. You can be a victim for 5 seconds. That's fine. And once you get past that, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? What am I going to do with it?
Mm.
Mhm.
Learn, just launch, let's work it out, let's write it out. Right.
Mhm.
But also the fact is I tell myself this all the time. I feel this way because my business matters to me. And my business is my legacy to my employees, to my family, because I enjoy paying all. Like if I didn't feel this way, either I'm a sociopath, I didn't work my butt off.
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So let's embrace it, let's feel it, and let's weather it. If we talk about how grit and resilience is built, it's not removing these emotions.
Or avoiding them.
Yeah, it's weathering them,
Mhm.
feeling them, and then channeling them.
Mhm.
Not
Yeah.
dismissing them. Don't drink it all. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, one of the things I was going to add to that, Jenna and I, we empower all of our employees to, first off, we don't micromanage, but
No.
we allow them to, and we tell them and coach them to what you do. Take what you're doing is a business. Take what you're doing and treat this as your own business. This
Right.
is your business. You have the keys to the kingdom to do whatever you want. You want to take someone there and do that? Fine. You want to do that? That's fine. Do you treat this as your own business? And we let all of our employees, from project management to site superintendents to even field thermal carpenters, we'll like, hey, this is your deal. You have the ability to go anywhere you want. Go. Right. So we empower those people to, like you said, run, treat it as your own business. Right. And it matters.
Right. The hard part about that is some people don't know how to run wild like a Mustang for it to be caged. And so
It's
then
true.
they purposely mess up or screw up or have mistakes. So then they feel they need environmental feedback from their boss to feel wanted, needed, or feel heard. Right. It's called insecure attachment in business. Right. So not all of us could have a secure attachment business where, be your own micro entrepreneur and run this like you would your own business. Those who are like that, they love it. But that's a small percentage of personality types.
It's true.
You have these other personality types that are high in the agreeableness trait, or the fact is that your employee is one that needs that feedback or to feel the borders and boundaries. And so then they unconsciously make mistakes or do things like, why you keep doing this over and over again? Well, as a boss, I ask myself is this person just really have a personality type that needs to have a feeling of borders and boundaries to feel secure as an employee? I've had problems in my own practice where I call my practice a Ferrari. That's my analogy. It's like, here's the keys to the Ferrari. Do what you want. It's yours. And some people just drive that thing straight into the ground.
Sure.
Right. And they don't know how to drive stick. And it's just like all these issues. Some people take it and they are like, man, they're having a
0 to
joy
60.
ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the concept there is like, either A, did I just hire the wrong person because I don't want to micromanage, right? Or B is, do I just invest in the person that's on hand and learn to adjust my leadership style for them if I have that time? And then recognize is, like I said to this person, what motivates you? Feedback from me? Negative feedback from me? Critiquing? Affirming? Encouragement?
How do you ask an employee that? How do you find that out individually?
Just right now. That's how I did it. That's how I did it. And I had a witness to it. I said, I need to motivate you better. How do I do it? And I give options. You like critiquing? Do you like negativity? Like talking about, hey, all negative things you do, I don't like it. Encouragement? Do you have to be celebrated? You like micro celebrations? Or do you like end of the day, like celebrations, or you want end of the project celebration? Like, what do you need? What motivates you? Sad part is no parents probably asked them that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No coaches, if they're a lot of coaches don't have enough high enough EQ to do it. But this is like the emotional healthy leader is one that has emotional intelligence, which is the aspect of knowing how to handle your unwanted emotions and handle others' unwanted emotions. And if you have the ability to do that, which, by the way, if you know anything about EQ, it all begins with permission to feel. Give yourself permission to feel all the emotions as a leader. That's why we're not avoiding them. And then from there, manage yours so you recognize how to manage others. It's a great book written by the director of the Emotional Intelligence Center of Princeton. And all things begins with emotional IQ.
We're going to talk about books and we're going to ask
Yeah,
what books
definitely.
what
We'll
books,
do that.
We'll talk about books because you've written books. And what I want to do too for what I want to do for our listeners is do some sort of contest, which I'll announce later at the end of the podcast. But I would like to buy 3 books off of you, Joe, and give them out to 3 of our listeners.
Yep.
How's that sound, Joe?
Hey, that's great. I actually just raised the price of those books this morning. So
Perfect.
And that's
well, I
fine.
do the opposite for Christmas. I don't put them on sale. I actually just put them up.
So you're like Amazon.
Yeah, that is so true. That
Yeah.
is funny.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what we're going to do here. We are going to have the first 3 listeners that listen to this podcast email me and say, and email my Freeze Construction email, vfree@Freeze Construction. It's on our website. Email me about the Joe Jardine podcast and say, hey, I listen to your podcast. Email me this. I listen to your podcast and I would love a Joe Jardine book. That's all they need to do.
Hold on. No.
Oh, you want to make it
You're
harder?
making way too easy.
Well, that means they listen this long.
No.
First of all, no one knows how to spell Jardine. Let's just start there.
Well, it says Team Jardine in the background. That's not true. If they're watching, at least.
However,
Okay, go ahead.
I would like to know, and I think Joe would like to know, email us your biggest takeaway.
100%. I would love to hear that.
I don't care that you listen. Listen, that's great.
Yeah.
But what is your biggest takeaway?
Right.
Let's do
I
that.
love information.
Yes.
Mhm.
Love
Let's
to
get Joe
know-
information.
I love to know in this culture that we live in, what is the most important information that people want to hear?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I want to hear what's fruitful for them,
Got
because
it.
it helps me create and develop more around that.
So all of our listeners out there, you heard it. Email me, tell me your biggest takeaway. And
Mhm.
also you want them to tell us basically
their biggest
their-
takeaway.
their
That's the
biggest-
information.
Yeah, got it. Biggest takeaway.
Well, speaking of books, Joe, speaking of your company, you shared a lot of really good information with our listeners. If they want to know more about you, more about the Reset Group, maybe even check out your podcast, like where would they find that information? Where do they go to find out more about you?
Oh, perfect. So thank you for doing this. We have a website, theresetgroup.com, theresetgroup.com. You can find our podcasts on there because we know there's a lot of reset podcasts out there,
Mhm.
but you can find it there. You'll see the picture of my wife and I. My wife brings the comedy and the looks. I just bring the wisdom. And so
Same, but I also no.
we really believe in performance journaling. There's so
Mhm.
much research about writing things out when it comes to emotional intelligence, when it comes to the aspect of gaining wisdom, but also understanding who you are, creating growth, being successful, mental edge. So all of our stuff that's on there that we wrote, check it out there. We have a lot of free resources, even lots that we're talking about right now that we give away, we enjoy. And if once again, if you're interested in even making 2024 a year where you want some one-on-one coaching, we call it success coaching, you can contact us through that as well. But all things reset are found on the resetgroup.com.
Love it. Love
That's
it.
awesome.
Okay, Joe. So for maybe someone who's new to this idea of like mindset or performance coaching or even personal development, like
Mhm.
if someone is like, okay, I'm hearing it, like it sounds like the things I want to do, like what's a good first step? Like if they're not maybe ready to like dive in with a coach or something like that, like are there other resources? Are there, books you might recommend? Like what would be a good, like they just want a baby step?
Yeah, if you want to base that, I mean, if you want two things, I'll give them one thing that's practical and one thing that's a little more principle based. The principle base is going to be just buy the book Mindset by Carol Dweck. You'll see it on Amazon. It's Carol, Carol. Not
Carol.
like people writing books these days, but if you want an introductory to just the concept of what does it mean by mindset, there's a lot of coaches in the coaches world that are trying to do this. But guys, I'm being honest with you, not all coaches are made equal. A lot of them do not have any educational background. A lot of them don't have any psychology background. A lot of them are just really good marketers.
Yeah.
And they get you and you're in for a lot of money.
Mhm.
Mhm.
There's no return. So beware. But Mindset is a great principle book for you to just dive into it and get a taste of it. The practical sense, and I'm just going to give you what we give everyone from day one. We call it the daily reset. We know that if you spend 1% of your day, which is 14 minutes a day, if you do it before noon, as a priming mechanism, we like to call it win your day by noon, is that you do 9 minutes of journaling, performance journaling. Specifically, you do write down 3, 2, 1, 3 things you're thankful for, 2 things you're excited about, 1 thing you want to accomplish in your day. Why do we do that? You have to name it to claim it. We know if you don't write it out, you'll act it out in life. And so you do that. And then after that is you either do a dear self letter, or if you're someone who's a religious background, you do a dear God letter. And then you just start writing out your thoughts and your feelings. Simple as that. Do that for 9 minutes. After you do that, for the last 5 minutes, you do what we call imprinting or visualization techniques. So at USC, they call it imprinting. At Stanford, they call it visualization techniques. This has been done over and over again, especially on golfers in the sports psychology world, where if you spend 5 minutes on your bed, close eyes, and you just visualize your ideal day happening, you gain that bid, how it feels to get that email that says yes, to walk up, shake the hand of someone that you're trying to work with, greeting every room with a smile, engaging as a different leader. And you do that for 5 minutes, right? They found out the probability of success increases tremendously. You know, it's like that the rock climber free solo guy, I forgot his name, Alex Honnold. And he talked a lot about this in his documentary. Well, first of all, you show him he's journaling every day. And they asked him a question. They said, before you free soloed El Capitan, right? No ropes, nothing. You know, what's your first step? You know what he said? He goes, my first step was, for 1 year, I never touched the rock, never touched that mountain. For 1 year, every day I closed my eyes and I visualized doing it. The guy he's got a mindset coach. And he talked about this on the Jimmy Kimmel show. So all of us need to climb mountains without ropes this year.
Wow.
And let's go. Let's visualize it for, you know.
That's great tips.
That's
Great
tips. Couldn't end the show better than that
Mm-hmm.
last one, man. My God, where do we go from there?
We go to 2024. Let's go.
Let's
do
it. That's awesome.
Here we go.
Man, I'm pumped. Like, this got me pumped to, like, you know, as successful as people might think someone is, or this and that. Like I am like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at like a 3 as to like the stuff I could be doing to be better. I'm so far from, I have a lot to do. I have a lot to learn, and I have so much growth and so much things I need to do to be a better husband, a better leader, a better owner, a better boss. All these things, like, it's got me pumped up.
A constant state of growth is beautiful. That's why I never want to be the teacher. I always want to be the student in life.
For sure.
100%.
Absolutely.
Always be the beginner.
Never want to walk in the room thinking they're smartest man.
No, never. And I always want to be in a place of humbleness. And I always believe that the pride always lose. And so the proud always, like, dude, staying humble and recognizing I'm always as strong as my weaknesses, as I admit to them. It's huge.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that's where it's at, you know.
Wow, Joe. Well, thank you so much for your time and so much for sharing, you know, a little bit about you, a little bit about how you're approaching 2024, how we can all approach 2024 better. We're really grateful, obviously, that our paths crossed and that we are family.
I love that. Now, Joe, before we let you go, since you're a big
yes.
listener of the show, you're going to know what's coming next year. So,
#1 fan, first episode, I was dialed in, and I'm not exaggerating. You guys
I know you were the first one to comment.
I know.
Hey,
I have 3 refrigerators. 3.
I love it. So we always end the show with a this or that question. So I'm going to give you this or that questions, and we're going to get to learn a lot about you. There's no in between answers. You got to answer one or the other. Okay.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to go through a long list of all of this or that questions I've ever asked my guest in 2023. And it's going to be random and fun. And here we go. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
All right, man. Ketchup or ranch?
Ranch.
Phone in the bathroom or no phone in the bathroom?
Phone in the bathroom.
Crunchy peanut butter or smooth peanut butter?
Crunchy.
Sneezing or coughing?
Sneezing.
Camping or glamping?
Camping.
Cooking or being cooked for?
Cooking.
Attend a party or host a party?
Host a party.
Passenger or driver?
Driver.
Sneakers or sandals?
Sneakers.
Jogging or hiking?
Hiking.
What's worse, laundry or dishes?
Laundry.
Cardio or weights?
Weights.
Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook.
Dine in or delivery?
Dude, delivery's been awful lately. Can someone
I hear
I'm trying to figure out like how has delivery somehow made everything mushy?
Oh, I know.
Like,
It's
makes
so bad.
no
I know.
freaking sense, dude. And
I know.
honestly, I was telling my wife, I love a great dining experience.
Yeah.
Same. So
Dine
you're
in.
dining.
Hobbit.
Dine in.
Remember when
Oh,
we
I
went to
know.
the
The
Hobbit?
Hobbit
Oh my
was
God.
great.
We were talking about
That was great.
Okay, sorry, I won't talk about it. Go ahead.
No. The Hobbit. You know, we can
Yeah.
talk about it.
I know.
It's all
I'm just
good.
saying.
The Hobbit in
We
Orange
were talking
County
about that as
was
someone. They're
insane.
talking about like the best dinner, the longest dinner. I'm like, we are literally got into a home. They locked the gate, the door behind you. You're locked into this house to eat.
Mhm,
Then they kick you out of the house to redo the whole house.
mhm.
Come in with another like 15 meals. And my wife had a fever of 103. And we started in an attic. Like it was the
No, we
most
started it.
No,
Oh yeah.
no, you
Like,
start
I
upstairs.
felt-
Then you go to the basement.
yeah, it was like this like odd escape room meets Club 33 at Disneyland meets like I don't even know. It was awesome.
It was unreal. Like
It's great.
it's an unforgettable dining
It's one of my
experience.
it's one of my coolest dining experiences of all
Yeah,
time.
if you ever go to the Hobbit, Uber.
Definitely Uber.
Yeah, Uber to the Hobbit.
Do not drive there.
We were all safe. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that it's easy to go sideways at the Hobbit.
What city is that in?
That is in Orange, near off of Chapman. That's among a ton of. Basically, they just made that whole street into businesses.
Yeah,
it used to be a neighborhood, and that one house exists. This old craftsman home from the early 1900s, and it's there. And they make their own champagne that you get served immediately, endless, and you can buy a case of them.
We have it here in Texas.
Amazing. All right. Let's get back on track here.
Sorry.
Back on track.
Just a little trip down.
I know you're not drinking coffee, but if you had to, would it be iced coffee or hot coffee?
I don't drink coffee. It's to be iced coffee.
TV or a book?
TV.
Ocean or mountains?
Mountains. Dude,
Horror
I went
movie?
from Orange County, California to Franklin, Tennessee.
You did.
I did. Come on,
You
buddy.
did. You did. Winter or summer?
My God, I'm a winter guy, and I used to be a summer guy.
I know.
I
It's
know.
crazy. Card game or board? Card game. Card game or
card games,
board
dude.
game?
You know me, but I am a card shark.
I know
if,
you
if,
are.
if you guys listen to our last podcast episode, which I know you guys did 15 times,
I'm going to.
I opened up this past summer with my kids. They're at the age. I opened a call. I created this huge sign. No joke. I have a picture of it. It says Casino de Jardine. And I was the dealer, and I had all my old poker chips in my 20s. And I taught my kids blackjack, 2 forms of poker. And we played, as they play, and you could do in Vegas, you could play the game of war.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Lose a lot or win a lot right away. And we did it for a whole year. And we had a score for a whole summer, 3 months. We had a scoreboard every night from 6 to 8. We did that. Taught them how to count, taught them how to bet, teach them double down, all this style of thinking, right?
Yeah.
And they freaking loved it. And my daughter, the champion herself, came back down by $600 and kept going all in. And no joke.
I love it. Love it. All right.
Sorry.
So almost done here. Because I got a couple more
Go.
highlights from 2023 here. Lose your hair or a sense of smell?
Hair.
100 days in Antarctica or 100 days on the moon?
Antarctica.
Meme famous or commercial famous?
I do commercial famous.
No internet or no running water?
No internet.
Ooh.
Hold on, I got 5G still, right?
Yeah, you do. No, you do. You totally do. Yeah. All right. Vacation with your in-laws or your next door neighbor?
They're both. My next door neighbor is my in-law. I can't even do this one. I can't even do it.
You can't even do this one.
My wife's parents are literally my neighbor.
That's amazing. I know. That's awesome.
I have to do both, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. Well, back in Orange County when we were your neighbor.
That's true. That's so wild. What a long, wow. We're all neighbors.
We were neighbors. We were neighbors. All right, my boy.
Hold on. If I do my in-laws, they actually may pay for it. If they do that for a neighbor, I might have to pay for it. So I'll do it with my in-laws.
Don't forget your most famous question.
I'm about to ask my final question.
Casa Azul.
Justin Bieber or Justin Timberlake?
Oh, Timberlake.
Timberlake has it this year, man. I think
He does.
Timberlake had it this year. Awesome. Well, Joe, thank you so much for your time. Don't hang up. I'm going to say bye to our guest. Stay on the line here. I'm going to talk to you about some things after this, but for all you guys out there in 2023, the listeners, Thank you guys so much for listening to the Cool Times podcast.
Yes. Thank you,
Jenna and I are
guys.
so blessed to have all you guys support us and follow us. And we're on 4 platforms for social media, the Facebook and the Twitter X, LinkedIn, and Instagram. But if you want to listen to our show, you can listen to it on your Apple iPhone on the podcast app. Please subscribe to that. Also, you guys can watch how funny we look on YouTube and subscribe to Cool Times Podcast. Hit that red button on YouTube. Help spread the word. We have an amazing 2024 lineup. I am so pumped for it. We have so many awesome guests coming out. We're going to be talking to a ton of developers and end users. We have architects, general contractors, suppliers, new faces, new voices, new stories about cold storage. And also for all of our 2023 sponsors, Jamison Door Company, Rytech High Performance Stores, Versafoam, and Vapor Armor. Thank you guys so much for the support.
For your support.
2024 is, oh, that's a nice hat.
That's a nice hat.
Okay, can I tell you something? No other construction company has the best swag than you guys do. My wife wears the free shirt every night. I have, well, I've lost weight, so I need a smaller size. But
what size are you? What size are you now? Large?
I'm a large.
Oh boy, here we go. Swag.
So hey,
swag
we're gonna send you and your wife a bunch of free swag, some Cool Time swag. And for everyone out there, Joe, dude, we are going to do this again. You are going to be
I want to be the guest at the end of every year to come in with just a word of truth for the next year.
Oh, I love it.
I love it.
I love it.
I love it. Let's do that. Until next time, guys. We look forward to seeing y'all in 2024.
2024.
Cheers.
Here we go. Cheers.
Cheers.